Hello everybody, this is the Nancy Drew channel, and in tonight's episode we're going to take a look at what happened out on Lake Herman Road from 11 p.m. until after the murders until 12:25 p.m. And I have a little treat for you. I wanted to have an idea how long it would take to commit those murders. So I created a little reenactment of the murders. And so that's later in the video. So let the Zodiac killer case, what happened, commence. At approximately 11 p.m., Peggy, Homer, and her children returned to the Benicia area. Homer was going west, and he turned into the road going to the Marshall Ranch to turn around. He saw approximately 30 feet inside the road from the gate a red pickup truck that had white wooden sides. A man was by the truck. He shined his flashlight into the Yore car. Mr. Yore's wife, Peggy, who was sitting in the front seat on the passenger side, said, "There is a man with a gun. Let's get out of here." Mr. Yore states his wife did not say anything to the man with the gun. After leaving the Marshall Ranch, heading east now, Peggy saw David and Betty in the car and the station wagon parked in the same spot. And this took place around 11 p.m. So we have very good testimony that David and Betty were parked at that location at 11. So the police did a sketch. So number one is when Homer was driving west on Lake Herman Road. And number two is after they pulled into the Marshall Ranch and turned around and were heading east. And they passed David and Betty in the station wagon approximately at 11 p.m. Now at about 11:05 p.m., Frank Gasser and his raccoon hunting partner, Bob Connelly, were driving east on Lake Herman Road. Connelly and Gasser left the area right after the Yores turned around. They observed the Rambler parked at the crime scene, but did not see anyone in the car. They said that when they arrived there at 9 p.m., a white four-door hardtop, a 59 or a 60 Impala, was parked there, and also a truck coming out of the gate. Bingo! Westner was driving out of the gate sometime around that time. He said it was 10 p.m. Connelly states that Mr. Gasser does have an automatic rifle, but that he doesn't have it at the house. He suggested that we call or see a gentleman by the name of Harlan Hall, who lives at 1006 Hargis Avenue. It is possible that the gun is there, because Gasser does not leave his guns at the ranch because of recent thefts. Now when the police questioned Connelly, he said when they were leaving that the Rambler was parked over by the bank, which didn't seem to make sense if he left sometime between 11:05 and 11:10, because the police found the Rambler where Peggy Yore said it was. At approximately 11:10 p.m., James Owen was driving on his way to work for the night shift, and he was listening to his radio, and he noticed a second car parked next to the station wagon, just to the right of it. And as he passed by the scene of the crime had to have occurred. So the first thing you're going to hear in this reenactment is James Owen's car going by that location.
Unlock it. Girl, open the door. Stand over there. Don't move. Turn towards the street. All right, you. No, get out on this side. Come over the seat. Crawl out. Yeah. No.
At approximately 11:20 p.m., or somewhat before then, Stella left her house, which was on Lake Herman Road, and she traveled east to go pick up her son, and she came upon the crime scene, and she saw David lying on the ground and Betty lying on the ground, and then she raced off to notify the police in Benicia. And she arrived at the gas station and she saw a police car and flashed her lights and honked her horn to get their attention. And the police officer, Officer Daniel Pitta, reported that this occurred at 11:25 p.m. And it would have taken Stella about 5 minutes from the crime scene to the gas station and a little bit of time to notify the police. Well, Stella said that no cars were going in either direction, and so from her house to the crime scene took her probably 5 minutes, and then from the crime scene down to the gas station it took her approximately another 5 minutes, including the time flashing the police officer and telling him what happened. So there's not a large window of time for the Zodiac to commit this crime, and it seems like it's impossible to me for him to travel west on Lake Herman Road, because Stella would have saw him. So he had to either go down towards Benicia, or he had to drive to Highway 21 to get away. Now I kind of have 3 theories on what happened. First theory would be that Robert Kennelly is the killer, that they took 2 cars, Frank Gasser had the truck, and he had his car. And it was his car that James Owen saw parked next to David and Betty. Theory 2 would be that there was a third raccoon hunter, Harlan Hall, and he had his own car, and he's the one that shot David and Betty, and Frank Gasser and Robert Kennelly knew or greatly suspected that he killed them, and that's why they offered up his name to the police. And then the third theory is somehow the Zodiac killer was able to get into that small window of time. And by doing my scenario, you can see there was time, that it would only take about 2 minutes to commit that crime. And the Blue Rock Springs crime was very similar to this crime, in which that it didn't take a whole lot of time for the Zodiac killer to commit it. And the Zodiac killer is more like a assassin, an executioner, and he's interested in teasing or getting revenge on the police. Well, this ends this episode of Unsolved, and on the next episode, I will be out front of Bob Kennelly's house, and just to tease you. And then the next episode will be on New Year's Day.